Ethan, are you even listening to me? My phone buzzed with my mother's voice, sharp and controlled. The way she always sounded when she had something important to say. I'm here, I muttered, pressing the phone tighter to my ear. What's going on? There's a family dinner this Friday. At the Marlowe. 7 sharp. We're something decent. I froze, staring at the cracked paint on my apartment wall. The Marlowe wasn't just a restaurant, it was the place we never went because it was too expensive, too glamorous. If they were going there, it meant something. Why me? I asked. You usually forget to include me. A long pause. Then her clipped reply, You're part of this family, aren't you? Part of this family? The words should have warmed me, but instead they stung. I swallowed. Is Dad going? Of course. Your brother, too. Everyone will be there. My chest tightened at the mention of Daniel. Perfect Daniel. Golden Daniel. The son who could do no wrong. All right, I said finally. I'll be there. She hung up without a goodbye. I dropped the phone on my couch and leaned forward, elbows on my knees. My mind spun. A family dinner. Why now? I remembered birthdays where Daniel got the spotlight while I sat in silence. Report cards where Maya Minnis was ignored because Daniel had an A+. Nights I came home late, exhausted from working 2 jobs. My father told me I wasn't ambitious enough. Yet here they were inviting me. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was just another chance to show me how small I was compared to him. Still, a part of me whispered, what if they finally see me? That night, I called Emily, the only friend who had stuck around since high school. They invited you. She asked, disbelief clear in her tone. Yeah, the Marlowe. Ethan, that's huge. But doesn't it feel off? Everything with them feels off, I admitted. But maybe this time I stopped, unsure if I believed my own words. Maybe this time will be different. She was silent for a moment, then said softly, just don't let them break you again. The next day at work, I couldn't focus. I stocked shelves at the hardware store, but all I saw were flashes of Daniel's smirk. My father's stern eyes, my mother's sighs. Hey, you all right? Asked my manager, Michael. Yeah, family dinner. I forced a smile. Sounds fun? Not exactly. He raised a brow. Family stuff never is. Just remember, you're not a kid anymore. His words lingered. Not a kid anymore. Then why did they always treat me like one? Friday came too fast. I stood in front of my mirror, adjusting the one suit I owned. Navy blue, slightly frayed at the cuffs. I smoothed my hair, trying to tame the nervous energy shaking through me. Ethan, I told myself, staring into my own eyes. This is your chance. Don't mess it up. But deep inside, doubt gnawed. I imagined Daniel arriving in a tailored suit, laughing, shaking hands, glowing under the lights. I imagined my father looking at him with pride, then turning to me with disappointment. I clenched my jaw. No, not this time. When I arrived at the Marlowe, the glow of the chandeliers hit me like a wave. The lobby smelled of wine and roasted lamb. Waiters glided past in crisp uniforms. I spotted them instantly, my family. Gathered near the reservation desk. Ethan, my mother said, her eyes scanning me from head to toe. At least you look presentable. Good to see you too, I muttered. Daniel smirked. Didn't know they let you in here, little brother? Daniel, I said through gritted teeth. My father's hand clapped Daniel's shoulder. Good one. He glanced at me briefly. Try not to embarrass yourself tonight. I bit down hard on my tongue. I'll do my best. The hostess led us to our table, a massive polished circle surrounded by velvet chairs. My pulse quickened as I looked around. Relatives, cousins, uncles, aunts all, dressed to perfection. I felt the weight of their eyes as I slid into my seat. The dinner hadn't even started, and already my stomach churned. Relax, Daniel whispered, leaning toward me. It's just dinner, unless you mess it up like you always do. I turned my face away. Shut up, Daniel, as conversations rose around me about business deals. Vacations? Daniel's newest promotion. I sat in silence. My glass of water trembled in my hand. "Ethan," my Aunt Rebecca called. "What are you doing these days?" I cleared my throat. "Still working at the hardware store?" Her polite smile faltered. "Oh, that's steady," Daniel chuckled. "Steady, sure, until the store closes." Laughter rippled through the table. My face burned. I excused myself, stepping into the hallway. My reflection in the ornate mirror looked back at me, eyes dark, lips pressed tight. Why did I even come? Because deep down, I still wanted them to see me. I still wanted my father to nod with pride, my mother to smile with warmth, Daniel to acknowledge me as more than a shadow. I pressed my palms against the marble wall. This time, I whispered to myself, maybe this time will be different. And with that fragile hope clinging to me, I walked back toward the table. "Ethan, sit down," my mother said, her tone sharp but wrapped in a smile. I nodded, forcing a polite grin. "Good to see you too, Mom." Her eyes narrowed. "Don't slouch. People are watching." I straightened my back. "Right. Wouldn't want to ruin the picture." My father glanced at me, his expression flat. "At least you came on time." "Traffic wasn't bad," I muttered. Daniel leaned closer, his smirk flashing. "Amazing. You managed to do one thing right tonight." I clenched my jaw. "Always nice to have your support," he chuckled. "You'll need it." The hostess gestured to the polished table in the center of the room. Velvet chairs shimmered under the golden lights. Relatives were already seated, laughing, sipping wine, trading stories. I stepped forward, ready to take the empty chair near my father. Before I could pull it out, my mother's hand pressed against my arm. "Not there," she whispered. I frowned. "Why not?" She tilted her chin toward the far corner. "Over there?" "The other table," I turned. My heart sank. A smaller table sat by the wall, covered in crayons, chicken tenders, and plastic cups. My little cousins waved at me, giggling. "You're joking," I said, my voice tight. Daniel grinned. "Perfect spot for you, little brother." My father's lips curved in what almost looked like amusement. "Go on, Ethan. Don't make a scene." Heat rushed to my face. "You want me to sit with the kids?" "Yes," my mother said simply. "It's better this way." I glanced at the main table, where uncles and aunts tried to hide their smirks. Rebecca, my aunt, whispered something to her husband, and they both chuckled under their breath. "This is ridiculous," I muttered. Daniel leaned back, stretching his arms. "It suits you. You've always been the extra." My fists curled. "Say that again, Ethan," my father snapped. "Enough. Sit down. Don't embarrass us. Embarrass them." The words echoed in my head. I looked back at the kids' table. Bright faces. Small hands. Eyes full of innocent curiosity. And then I heard the whispers grown adults murmuring, laughing at me as if I had already obeyed. One of my cousins, Tommy, called out, "Hey, Ethan! Want to draw with us?" I swallowed hard. My throat burned. "Not tonight, Tommy." Daniel laughed louder. "Come on, Ethan. You might actually win at coloring." The table erupted with chuckles. I forced my voice to stay steady. "You think this is funny?" Daniel smirked. "I think it's perfect. You never belonged here anyway." My mother's eyes hardened. "Ethan, sit now." I stood frozen. My chest pounded. My palms itched with the urge to slam the table, to shout, to walk out, but instead, I lowered myself into the small chair at the kids' table. The plastic seat creaked under my weight. My knees barely fit. Crayons rolled toward me. My cousins giggled again. "Why are you here?" one asked innocently. I forced a smile. "Good question." At the main table, Daniel raised his glass. "To family," he declared. Laughter followed. I gripped the edge of the tiny table so hard my knuckles whitened. Inside, my thoughts screamed, "They don't see me as a man. They never did. I'm just a child to mock." Rebecca's voice drifted over. "At least he looks comfortable." More laughter. I closed my eyes for a second, breathing slowly, fighting the storm in my chest. Tommy nudged me with a crayon. Want to draw a house? I shook my head. Not tonight, buddy. He shrugged and kept coloring. I stared at his paper, lines messy, but full of freedom. I envied it. At the main table, Daniel leaned toward my father. We should get a picture. Everyone together. Everyone, my father asked. Well, Daniel chuckled, pointing toward me. Maybe not everyone. The camera clicked, flashes of light bouncing across the room. My absence in the frame burned more than I could admit. I leaned closer to my water glass, whispering to myself, hold it in. Don't give them the satisfaction. But deep down, rage coiled tighter, sharper, louder, every laugh, every smirk, every word they threw like knives carved deeper into me. I stared across the room at Daniel's confident face, my father's approving nods, my mother's stiff smile, and I swore silently, this isn't the end. You won't laugh forever. Ethan, are you comfortable? Daniel murmured across the room, voice soft enough to sting. I'm fine, I said, though the tiny chair dug into my knees. Enjoy your jokes while you can. My father sipped his wine. Lower your voice. You're drawing attention. I'm not the one who pointed me to the kids' table, I replied. My mother folded her napkin. Please cooperate. We don't want trouble. You made trouble, I said. You just dressed it in velvet and chandeliers. Daniel laughed. He's dramatic. Rebecca leaned from the main table. Ethan, sweetie, make the best of it. I felt heat crawl up my neck. I'm not sweetie. I'm a grown man. My father sighed. Then act like one. I stared at my water glass and saw old scenes. Me carrying boxes while Daniel posed. Me fixing lights while they clapped for his speech. Me working nights while they toasted his promotion. The memories pressed like broken glass. Daniel whispered, Remember when you dropped out of the internship? Classic. I left because Mom got sick, I said. I covered your shifts while you partied. He shrugged. Excuses. My mother's eyes slid past me. Keep your voices down. Something inside me buckled, then hardened. Why am I here if this is all I am to you? My father answered without looking at me. Because family shows up. Family also respects, I said. Family doesn't seat a son next to crayons. Daniel clinked his fork. Let's not ruin dinner. I pushed back the plastic chair. It squealed across the floor. Heads turned. I'm not sitting here, I said. Not one more minute, Tommy peered up at me. Are you mad? No, buddy, I said softly. I'm just done. I walked toward the main table. Laughter dimmed to a hush. I kept my hands at my sides because I didn't trust them not to shake. My mother's smile went tight. Ethan, sit down. We talked about this. No, I said. You talked. I swallowed. That's over. My father's chair creaked. You are being ungrateful. For what? I asked. For the honor of pretending I don't exist? Daniel leaned back, smirking. Sit, little brother. You're making a scene. I am a scene, I said. I'm the scene you wrote and tried to hide. My mother's voice cut cold. Ethan. This is the last time, I said. My throat tight and clear at once. I won't be the family joke. Rebecca raised a hand. Let's breathe. Everyone's watching. Let them watch, I said. Maybe they'll finally see me. My father's eyes sharpened. You will apologize. For what? I asked. For standing up? For wanting a chair that fits my legs? Apologize, he repeated. No, I said. The word left my mouth like a door slamming. Silence cracked across the room. I felt small and vast at the same time, like a match in a dark theater. Daniel sneered. You can't even hold a steady job and you're lecturing us. I held myself together when no one else did, I said. He rolled his eyes. Poor hero. I turned to my mother. Do you know what it feels like to be invited to your own humiliation? Her lips pressed thin. Enough. I faced my father. Do you know what it costs to keep quiet? It costs your whole life. He stood halfway. You're done. I'm beginning, I said. I'm beginning with no. A breath passed through the room. I felt the floor under my feet for the first time all night. Daniel smirked. Where will you go? Back to your little apartment? If I do, I said, it will still be mine. My mother tried to smile. Ethan, honey, I'm not honey, I said. I'm the son you taught to disappear. I'm finished disappearing. My father pointed toward the door. Leave if you can't behave. I can, I said. I'm choosing not to obey, he hissed, ungrateful. The word hit like a slap. Grateful for what? Your silence when I needed one kind word? Your laughter when I needed a seat? No one answered. The room waited. I took a breath and straightened my jacket. Enjoy your dinner, Daniel scoffed. Run then. I'm walking, I said. There's a difference. I turned toward the lobby. I moved through the carpeted lobby. My chest burned. A lock finally cracked. At the door, I paused and looked back. By the way, I said, steady. I won't come when you call me to be small. I pushed the door open. Cool night air slid across my face like water. My hands trembled, but my spine held. Behind me, someone gasped. A spoon clattered. The sound followed me into the dark like a bell. I kept walking. I slammed my apartment door shut, the echo filling the small space. My chest still heaved from the storm inside me. Did I overreact? I asked the empty room. Am I weak for walking out? The silence answered back, heavy and cold. I dropped into the chair by my desk, pulling at my tie until it loosened. My reflection in the window stared at me, tired eyes, clenched jaw, hands that still shook. Maybe I should have stayed quiet, I muttered. Maybe that's what they wanted, but the image of the kids' table burned in my head. Daniel's smirk. My father's glare. My mother's cold command. No, I whispered. I couldn't take it anymore. I pulled open the drawer beside me. Inside lay an old notebook, edges worn, pages crumpled. My journal. I flipped through the entries, words scrawled across years of silence. Worked double shift today. Sent the money to Dad, he didn't say thank you. Stayed home with Mom while Daniel went to his interview. She praised him anyway. Missed Emily's birthday dinner because Dad needed help moving boxes. He called me lazy after. Each line pressed deeper into me. I traced the words with my fingers. I gave everything, I said aloud, and they gave nothing back. On the shelf sat a shoebox of photographs. I pulled it down, dust falling onto my lap. The first photo showed me at 16, holding up a trophy. Daniel stood beside me, grinning though he hadn't competed. My father's hand rested on Daniel's shoulder, not mine. Figures, I muttered. Another photo. Me at 20, dressed in work clothes, grease on my hands, holding a cake I'd bought for my mother. She smiled in the picture, but her eyes looked past me, toward Daniel. Wasn't even in the frame. I pressed the photo against my chest, my throat tightening. Why wasn't I ever enough? I stood, pacing the small living room. They'll regret it, I said, louder now. One day, they'll regret every laugh, every insult. My fists tightened. I won't let tonight break me. I won't be their shadow anymore. I walked back to the desk and grabbed a pen. On a blank page, I wrote 3 words in large letters. No more silence. The room felt different after that, like something inside me had shifted. I'm not weak, I told the mirror. I'm not the kid they shoved into the corner. I'm stronger than all of them combined. My voice cracked, but I didn't care. I'll rebuild myself. I'll rise from this. And when I stand tall, they'll look up at me and remember this night, the night I stopped bowing. I pressed the pen hard into the page until the ink bled. This is the start, I whispered. The city lights outside flickered against the glass. Somewhere below, laughter drifted from the street, but it didn't cut me anymore. It fueled me. They wanted me small, I said, closing the journal. They'll see me bigger than they ever imagined. I leaned back in the chair, breathing deep. Steady for the first time that night, I'll make them regret every time they told me I wasn't enough. And for the first time in years, I felt something solid inside me, not despair, Not weakness, but fire. Coffee again? Michael asked, raising his brow as I poured the last of the stale pod into a chipped mug. Third one tonight, I muttered. If I slow down, I'll collapse. You've been working double shifts all week, he said. I have to, I replied. Rent doesn't wait, and neither does the world. Michael shook his head. You're going to burn out. Better to burn out chasing something than fade away in silence, I said. Gulping the bitter drink at night, my apartment became my second office. I sat hunched over my old laptop, the glow burning into my eyes. Freelance jobs, data entry, odd writing gigs, anything that paid filled the screen. Emily called once. Are you eating, Ethan? Sort of, I said, typing fast. Sort of means no. I'll grab something soon. Right now, I can't stop. You sound exhausted. I am. But if I quit, they win. She sighed. You don't have to prove anything to them. Yes, I do, I said, voice sharp. You weren't there. You didn't see their faces when they laughed. I did hear you, Ethan, she replied softly. Just don't lose yourself. Days blurred together. I stocked shelves by morning, coded websites by night, delivered packages in between. Man, you never rest, said Jordan. A coworker at the warehouse sleeps a luxury, I said. Lifting a box onto the cart. What are you chasing? He asked. Respect, I answered. Not theirs. Mine. Jordan nodded slowly. That's worth chasing. Just remember to breathe. One Friday, Michael stopped me after closing. Ethan, I recommended you for supervisor. Don't make me regret it. I blinked. You did what? You've worked harder than anyone here. They should see it. A strange warmth spread through me. Thanks, Michael. I won't let you down. Don't thank me yet, he said. Prove it. Weeks stretched into months. I took the promotion. I saved every dollar I could. Late nights bled into dawns, but I kept going. One night, Emily joined me at a diner. Look at you, she said. You've lost weight, hard work burns calories. I joked, it also breaks bones. I'm not broken, I said firmly. I'm building. She studied me. What's driving you this hard? I stared at my hands. Their smirk. My father's voice. Daniel's laugh. Every night, I hear it. And every morning, I answer with work. That's heavy fuel, she whispered. It keeps the fire alive. I found allies in unlikely places. Jordan invited me to his gym. Come on, he said. Lift something heavier than those boxes at work. I laughed. If I collapse, it's your fault. You won't collapse, he said. You'll grow. The first weeks were brutal, but every rep carved new strength into me. You're tougher than you think, Jordan said after one session. I hope so, I muttered. Wiping sweat from my brow, money slowly stacked. My savings account finally showed numbers that mattered. One evening, I stared at the balance and whispered, Not much, but it's mine. Emily texted. Proud of you, I typed back. Thanks. Still a long way to go. Her reply came quick. You've already come farther than they ever thought you would. I sat back, letting the words sink in. For the first time, pride didn't feel foreign, but scars remained. Some nights, I woke in a sweat. Hearing Daniel's mocking voice, kids' table, he whispered in my head. I sat up, fists clenched. Not anymore. I'd walk to my desk, open the journal, and add another line. Worked another shift. Earned another $1, one step closer. Months later, Michael clapped me on the back. Good news. You're being considered for assistant manager. I stared at him. Me, yes, you. Don't look so shocked. I just never thought anyone would see me. Well, open your eyes, he said. People see you now. That night, I sat with Emily and Jordan. You're different, Emily said. How so? I asked. Your shoulders aren't slumped anymore, she replied. Jordan nodded. He's right. You stand like you belong. I smiled faintly. Maybe I'm starting to believe it. Emily leaned closer. You should. You've earned it. As the night deepened, I walked home alone. The city hummed, neon lights reflecting off wet pavement. I'll keep grinding, I whispered to myself. Every insult they gave me will become a brick under my feet. Every laugh will push me higher. I tightened my fists and looked toward the skyline. They wanted me to stay small. I'll rise so tall, they'll choke on regret. I stood at the balcony of my own home, a mansion I once thought belonged only in my dreams. The city lights stretched wide, silent proof of years of grind. The phone buzzed. Emily's voice filled the line. You still working? Always, I said. Success doesn't sleep. You've already made it, Ethan. Relax for once. I chuckled. Made it? Maybe. But the scars don't let me stop. Later that week, Jordan walked into my office. Boss, did you hear about Daniel? I looked up from the stack of contracts. No, what now? He blew another investment. Word is, creditors are circling. I leaned back in my chair. Of course he did. Jordan smirked. Feels good, huh? I shook my head. It doesn't feel good. It feels inevitable at dinner, Emily asked. And your parents? They're not the people they used to be, I said. The company Dad relied on is gone. Their friends don't call anymore. The empire shrank. She studied me. Do you pity them? No, I replied. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Emails pinged, phone buzzed, invitations poured in events, parties, galas. The same people who once ignored me now begged for my presence. Michael called one evening. Ethan, you're the man of the hour. Everyone wants a piece of you. Funny, I said. Years ago, no one even wanted my name on a list. Well, he replied, lists change when money talks. One afternoon, a message arrived. My mother's number lit up the screen. I stared at it for a long moment before answering. Ethan, she said, voice shaky. We'd like to see you. Why? I asked. There's a gathering. A dinner. But this time at your place. We want to come to you. I gripped the phone tighter. My place? Yes, she whispered. You're home, I closed my eyes. When? This Sunday, that night, Emily sat across from me, concern in her eyes. You don't owe them anything, I know, I said. Then why even say yes? Because I whispered, I need them to see. I need them to walk through my doors and know I'm not the kid at the small table anymore. Sunday came. I waited by the grand entrance, marble floors gleaming under the chandelier. My suit fit perfectly, tailored, sharp. The doorbell rang. I opened it to see them standing there, my mother, my father, and Daniel, no longer shining. Ethan, my father said, voice lower than I remembered. Welcome, I replied, stepping aside. They entered, eyes darting over the high ceilings, the art on the walls, the weight of wealth pressing on them. This is impressive, my mother whispered. Built with my own hands, I said. Every brick, every inch earned. Daniel muttered, nice place. Better than crayons, right? I said. His face tightened, but he said nothing. We sat at the dining table, my table. Long, polished, surrounded by seats that fit every grown man and woman. My father cleared his throat. We appreciate you inviting us. I didn't, I corrected. You asked to come? The silence grew heavy. My mother smiled faintly. We're still family. Family, I echoed. Now you remember that word. Daniel rolled his eyes. Here we go. No, I said firmly. Here I go. Because for years I swallowed every insult. Tonight, you'll hear me. They shifted uncomfortably. But I leaned forward, calm. You told me I was ungrateful, I said. You told me I was nothing. But look around. Everything here is what you said I'd never have. My father tried to speak, but I cut him off. I don't need your approval anymore. I don't need your respect. But you will sit at this table, and you will see who I am. My words hung sharp in the air. When the night ended, they left quietly, their footsteps echoing against marble they didn't own. Emily touched my arm. You did it. I nodded slowly. The shift is here. They came to me, and they'll never forget it. The knock on the door echoed through the hall. I breathed once, steady, then opened it. My parents stood together, stiff, while Daniel shifted behind them, jaw tight. "Ethan," my father said, voice low. "Come in," I replied. Stepping aside, they crossed the marble floor, eyes darting over the chandeliers, the paintings, the long dining table set for four. My mother whispered, "It's grand, I built it," I said. "Without your hand on my shoulder," Daniel muttered. "Nice speech already." I shut the door. "You haven't heard anything yet." We sat at the table. I had placed their seats deliberately, my father opposite me, my mother at his side, Daniel at the far end. I remained at the head. My father cleared his throat. "It feels strange to sit here as guests." "You asked to come?" I said. Still he pressed. "Or family?" I leaned forward. "You only remember that word when it benefits you?" My mother frowned. "That's unfair." "Is it?" I asked. "Tell me, Mom, was it fair when you pointed me to the kids' table?" Her lips trembled. "That was years ago, and still burns like it happened yesterday," I said. Daniel scoffed. "You're seriously holding on to crayons and plastic cups?" I snapped my gaze toward him. "You called me extra. You laughed while they humiliated me. You'd think I'd forget?" He smirked. "You're overreacting." My father raised his hand. "Enough. We didn't come to rehash petty moments." "Petty?" I repeated, my voice sharper. "That night was the breaking point of my life. You shoved me into a corner like I was nothing." "That wasn't petty. That was cruelty." He stiffened. "We wanted peace at the table." "No," I said. "You wanted silence from me?" "You always did," my mother whispered. "We didn't mean harm. You meant to remind me of my place," I said. "You wanted me small." The air thickened. Daniel tapped his fork on the plate. "You love playing the victim," I turned to him. "Victim? I worked 2 jobs while you spent weekends in clubs. I covered bills when Dad's business faltered. I stayed home with Mom when she was sick, while you chased parties. And yet I was the disappointment." He laughed dryly. "You're still bitter." I leaned closer. "I'm not bitter. I'm awake." "There's a difference." My father slammed his palm on the table. "Show respect." I didn't flinch. "Respect is earned, not demanded. And you never gave me any to return." His eyes darkened. "You ungrateful don't," I cut in. "Don't call me ungrateful again. I bled for this family, and you dismissed me. Tonight, you'll hear me whether you like it or not." My mother's voice cracked. "Ethan, please. We're trying to reconnect." "Reconnect?" I asked. "Or use me now that Daniel is sinking?" Daniel glared. "Watch your mouth." I met his eyes. "Rumors travel fast. Bad investments, debt piling, creditors knocking. Tell me, Daniel, how does it feel to be the one failing?" His face flushed. "You think you're better than me?" "No," I said calmly. "I know I am. Because I climbed from nothing while you were handed everything." The silence pressed like stone. My father leaned forward. "So what is this? A show of power?" I held his gaze. "No, this is balance. For once, you'll sit at my table and listen to me. You'll feel what I felt, small, cornered, judged." My mother's eyes watered. "We never wanted this distance." I shook my head. "You built it brick by brick. Every laugh, every insult, every silence." Daniel shoved his chair back. "This is pathetic." I pointed toward the door. "Then leave." He froze. "You heard me," I said. "No one is forcing you to stay. But if you sit here, you'll hear the truth." My father's voice lowered. "You're enjoying this too much." I leaned back, steady. "No, there's no joy in exposing scars. But there's power in refusing to hide them anymore," my mother whispered. "What do you want from us?" I paused, then spoke slowly. "I don't want your pity. I don't want apologies you don't mean. I want acknowledgement. That's it. Admit what you did." She wiped her eyes. We were wrong, my father stiffened. Margaret, she raised her hand. No, we were. We pushed him aside. We made him feel less. The words hung heavy. My chest tightened, but I kept still. Daniel sneered. Fine, you've got your confession. Happy now? I looked at him. No, Daniel. Happiness isn't what I feel. Relief, maybe. And resolve. Because I'll never sit at the kids' table again. Not in this house, not in my life. The night dragged with silence. At last, they stood. My father muttered, we should go. I nodded. You should. As they walked toward the door, my mother paused. Ethan, thank you for letting us in. I said nothing. When the door closed, Emily stepped from the hallway. That was intense. It was necessary, I said. Tonight, the tables finally turned. The call came on a Tuesday night. Jordan's voice carried a mix of pity and triumph. Ethan, you'll want to hear this. Daniel's company collapsed. He's drowning in debt. I leaned back in my chair. So it finally happened. Yeah, and people are talking. Loud. I hung up and stared at the ceiling. The golden boy finally cracked. At the next family gathering, whispers filled the room before I even entered. Rebecca leaned toward another aunt. Did you hear? Daniel lost everything. Her husband shook his head. After all that pride, when I walked in, the voices dropped. Their eyes shifted. Some guilty, some curious. Daniel sat stiff in the corner, face pale, jaw clenched. My parents hovered near him, their pride carved away. My mother looked up first. Ethan, she said softly. You came? I did, I replied. Wouldn't miss the show. Daniel shot up. Don't start with me. Why not? I asked. You never stopped with me. His fists tightened. This isn't your victory, isn't it? I said. Every laugh you threw at me, every insult you're choking on them now. My father cleared his throat. Enough. This isn't helping. I turned to him. You once called me ungrateful. Tell me, Dad, how grateful do you feel now watching your empire crumble with your chosen son? He didn't answer. His eyes fell to the floor. My mother stepped forward, tears streaking her cheeks. We made mistakes. We didn't see you. And now, her voice cracked. Now everything is falling apart. I felt anger rise, then falter. You chose blindness. Don't act surprised at the cost. Daniel barked, Stop talking like you're better than us. I walked closer, my voice steady. I don't have to talk like it. I lived it. Relatives shifted uneasily. Rebecca whispered, Maybe Ethan was right all along. Another uncle muttered. We shouldn't have laughed that night. The words pricked the air like needles. Daniel heard them too. His face burned red. Shut up, he shouted at them. You all loved me when I had money. Don't turn now. I smirked. Funny, that's what you accuse me of, being nothing without status? Now look who's begging. He stormed across the room, pointing at me. You wanted this. You wanted me ruined. I shook my head. No, Daniel. You ruined yourself. Karma just caught up, my mother sobbed. Please, both of you, stop. I looked at her. You told me to sit at the kids' table. Tonight, I'm at the head. That's the truth. She covered her face and cried harder. My father sat stone still, unable to defend her, unable to defend Daniel, unable to defend himself. Daniel grabbed his coat. I don't need this. I don't need any of you. Of course you don't, I said. That's the first honest thing you've said. He stormed out, the door slamming behind him. The room fell silent. My mother lowered her hands, eyes red. Ethan, she whispered, is this what you wanted? I swallowed, my throat dry. I wanted respect. I wanted to be seen. Instead, I got years of humiliation. This I gestured around. This is just the price you all wrote for yourselves. My father finally spoke, voice weak. And does it feel good? I paused, feeling the ache in my chest. It feels empty. Like ashes in my hands. Rebecca spoke up softly. Still you stood, and we mocked. Others nodded, shame written across their faces. I closed my eyes. Their whispers didn't sound like victory. They sounded like ghosts. When I opened them again, my mother was looking at me, broken. "I'm sorry," she said. The words landed heavy. Too late? Too shallow? But they were there. I nodded once. "I hear you. But I can't promise forgiveness," she cried quietly. My father stayed silent. I turned toward the door. Revenge came on its own. I didn't need to lift a finger. But don't mistake my silence for peace. The scars are still here. I stepped out into the night air. The cool wind hit me, sharp and cleansing. Behind me, the family remained hushed. Pieces of their pride scattered. Inside, I carried both triumph and sorrow. Yes, I whispered to myself. They regretted. But why does it still feel hollow? I sat alone in the quiet of my living room, the echoes of their voices still faint in my ears. Is this all I wanted? I asked the silence. No answer came. Only the hum of the city outside my window, Emily called. How did it go? They broke, I said. Daniel stormed out. My mother cried. My father sat in silence. And you? She asked. I stood tall, I replied. But it didn't feel like victory. It felt hollow. Because revenge never fills you, she whispered. Then what does? I asked. Choice, she said. Your choice. After she hung up, I walked to the desk and opened my journal. The words stared back at me, years of pain. Nights of exhaustion, promises written in ink, I whispered. You kept me alive, but you don't own me anymore. I closed the book gently. I stepped out onto the balcony. The air was cool, the night wide and endless. They made me small, I said to the stars, but I grew anyway. For the first time, the memory of the kids' table didn't sting. It stood as proof. Proof that I had walked away. Proof that I had built something larger in the reflection of the glass. I saw myself not the boy who once clenched his fists under a plastic table, but the man who had risen. I can't rewrite the past, I whispered, but I can shape tomorrow. The words felt steady, like stone. I grabbed my coat and walked outside. The streets buzzed with strangers, laughter spilling from corners, headlights cutting through the dark. A man bumped into me. Sorry, he muttered. I smiled faintly. It's fine. And it was as I moved down the street, I let the weight slide off my shoulders. I'm not their shadow anymore, I said quietly. I'm my own light. The words settled deep inside, not as anger, not as bitterness, but as truth. I paused at the end of the block, looking up at the sky. The boy at the kids' table is gone. The man standing here? He chooses freedom. The night air carried the words back to me, steady and clear. I turned the corner, my steps strong, each one leaving the past further behind.